cover, what is a lift, what makes your lift, and different types of lifts that you can use in the competition. So, a lift, just a general idea. It's one of the three main systems that you're going to have on a VEX robot, including the base, the intake, and finally the lift itself. Now, the base, it consists of the drivetrain, which is just going to run your robot, and the structure for holding your lifts and your intakes. Everything is going to be sitting on that base. The lift is your mechanism for moving or elevating an intake, which we're just going to get to now. And the intake is just what you're going to have, which is going to interact with your different game objects, how you typically are going to score the most points with. So now, what makes a lift? You're going to have a lift that's going to be mounted to your base, and it's going to be holding your intake. We spoke about how the lift is going to be carrying and moving this intake around. So that's your main functionality. One of the things about a lift is degrees of freedom, and this talks about the different ways, different directions that your lift can move. If you see over here, this has at least two separate gears, so what's happening is you have part of the lift is moving this way, part of the lift is moving this way, and then further inside you're going to have different rotating gears, so those are your degrees of freedom. Now the range of motion deals with how far each of these degrees of freedom move and what they can activate, and that's just going to be a range of motion. Now here's some things, fixed and driven links. And a driven link is just your lift, and it's powered by a motor. And a fixed link would be unpowered. It's not powered by any motors. This is especially helpful if you have a limited number of motors like we have with the V5. Passive assistance. This is non-motor forces to assist lifts. Over here, I think these are some rubber bands, right?
That's surgical tubing. That's surgical tubing.
Surgical tubing. Yeah, could be. And it's used to increase the power and reduce motor strain, and that's helpful too. And it can include rubber bands or counterweights, or surgical tubing. And here are just some common types of VEX lifts.
Okay, so we have the single bar, which we built in this Mega Quadbot. So basically, there's only one driven bar in this type of Quadbot, and as you can see, a driven bar. It can potentially go all the way, but this one doesn't go because we built it, there's an axle blocking it. But yeah, the intake moves in an arc, just basically like right here, and yeah, and then yeah, it rotates a line, the axle, yeah, for the most part.
So this is a 4-bar lift, and a 4-bar lift, it keeps your intake level, and the range of motion of a 4-bar lift is based on how far apart your bars are. So the closer that your bars are, the smaller your range of motion is. And the intake will move on an arc, just kind of like a single bar lift. And then this is a 6-bar lift. It also keeps your intake level, and again, your range of motion is based on how far apart the bars are. And the intake also moves on an arc, but the arc is higher than a 4-bar lift. It's in like a different place, the center of the arc.
For a chain bar, anyone who's a returning student, member to VEX, might know that last year we had a chain bar lift as well. We do this year as well, although they function a bit differently. Chain bars, of course, are similar to a 1-bar lift in the motion that they provide. However, they do allow your intake on the end of it to stay level. Now, either you can have it fixed, the chain to be fixed so that no matter how you have it set up, your intake is always going to be level with the ground. Or you can attach a motor to it, and then you can have it move independently.
One thing I think you forgot to mention in the window was that the chain can also, it gives you a higher risk of malfunctioning if, say, something happened to the chain. And then see, in ours, we have these two, we call it the cap lock, but they kind of work in unison. But if, say, one of the chains were to break, then only one side would work, and that could cause problems in a match.
have an example of that with us.
We
Sorry.
have a picture for you.
Yeah. Should be good enough. So either you can have a stationary gear or gear rack. So if you want a stationary gear, or if you're just gonna have just a motor on your base, turns gear, raises up gear rack, or perhaps you want a non-stationary motor. For travel, it's a bit more risky because the wire might get caught in the lift. So scissor lift, that is what we had last year, in addition to a chain bar. Now, like an elevator, it provides vertical motion. Also, it, like a chain bar, keeps the intake level as it rises. What we have is a linear slide that allows it to turn.
Your linear slide is
Yeah.
right over here, so it's gonna, basically along the linear slide, it's gonna move up or down. If
Yeah.
Tyler wants to grab it.
I'd like to demonstrate why that's important. So, two or more bars are fixed to each other like this. One of them is on perhaps a hinge, the other one moves. Just this. You want to make sure that your lift is actually able to move on one of the bottom points.
And then that's for scissor.
Okay, so a compound lift is basically any 2-3 lifts combined. So, for example, we have a double reverse 4-bar here, and it's using rubber bands to hold it up. Then there's also lots of different types of lifts. You can have a double reverse 6-bar, basically anything that you can think of.
Okay, so these aren't the only type of lifts you can make. Another popular example that we decided, like, it's kind of a bit similar, but a cascade lift also uses a chain. I think there's another team in the league who has a robot with a cascade lift right now. But essentially the way it works is it gives you like a vertical movement, which I think the other robot that has it has like a C channel with the smaller C channel inside, like bigger C channel, and then it allows you to like go a lot higher than you could with just one.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
then
good.
8-10 ball bar lifts are similar to 6-bar lifts, and they can do is they can again keep it going like forward and also higher, so it does keep it level too, and anything you invent.
Candy bot. You heard it here first.
It's a great job, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.